Hello, everyone. Welcome to another Green Dragons Gaming. Without us, they couldn't feel like winners. Without them, we couldn't look so good. So I know it's been a while. I actually have two videos to put out. One that were actually real tabletop games. I actually had computer issues, so I did it, and I didn't actually record the voice over. So I actually have to just finish those up and hope to have them up by the end of this week. So we have a couple of tournaments going on via Universal Battles here in the United States. One is called Summer Camp, which is only United States participants, and the other one is called Cinco de Wings. And first off, I want to give a loud shout out to both Jeremy Schweitzer and Alex Schmid for turning around and taking care of all this, setting it all up, and anyone else who helped organize this. Again, thank you so much for keeping us all interactive with each other rather than just looking at for pickup games. I'm finding it as a hobbyist. It actually is intriguing me to go out and actually work on a couple of my armies. One was my Dwarven Holds, which I'm playing in Summer Camp, and the other one is my Kingdom of Equataine, aka the Kingdom, that I'm playing in Cinco de Wings. So again, thank you to everyone. So this is, as I said, Cinco de Wings, and this is my first game. It's Demon Legions versus the Kingdom. Again, I'm playing Kingdoms. My opponent, his name is, and if I mispronounce this, I am so sorry. His name is Shizu, Shizuu, and he's part of Relentless Company. It's either I want to. My captain said they're from France. One of my peers said they're from Belgium. I don't know. Either way, I will say that if you ever come across him on Universal Battles, this guy was awesome to play. Really good player, but very easygoing, low key. And if he was in my house, I'd be saying, "Here, have a beer." So he is light on his characters. He actually only has the one character, being the what is that? The Kalima's Deceiver, and it uses Protean magic. I want to say it's witchcraft. It's divination. There was thaumaturgy and evocation for spectral blades. So overall, that's actually a really good magic. And it may seem like his list is magic light, but it really isn't. Because first off, he channels 2 because he's a demon. Channel 1, so therefore he's already channel 3. So that's 1 extra dice. Yes, it's light for demons, but overall it's not light. And he supplements his magic with his imps. So he's got 3 units of imps. One's got a balance spell, Hand of Heaven, so that's 2 dice. Automatically he's going to go off. And then he's got 3 other potential magic missiles, being his hereditary, which is Spirit of Infinity, which isn't bad. It really, really isn't bad. Does multi wounds too, so I have to be concerned for one of my characters, or if my units gets shot down to less than 5, it can actually turn around and start targeting my damsels and picking off my damsels with relatively ease. He's got 2 bloatflies, so Broodmother. That is if he does 3 close combat wounds. So he's strength 6, 3 attacks per model. Pretty good opportunity to turn around and do that. If he's able to do 3 combat wounds, he regains D3 wounds to the unit, which is very, very good. His other unit, Blood 5s, has Unhinged Dog with rerolling the wound against large or gigantic. Doesn't really affect me because I'm King of Equataine. I won't I'll say one thing, is I do have a hippo, so I have to be cautious with my hippo against that unit, but that's really about it. He's got 3 Brazen Beasts, which as a flanker, they can do a decent amount of damage. I've had them run on my dwarves and not been happy about that. The Eidolons. So Eidolons used to be strength 2 shots, strength 4, wounds on, or you automatically fail armor save on a 1, 2, or 3. That unit's gone through a change. I really, really like this unit. I liked how he used it. So again, they're 2 shots each, 18-inch range, Aura of Despair, which means it's minus 2 inches for trying to charge them. And they scout. So, and the way they work now is you automatically fail your armor save on 1, 2, 3, or 4. So I'm only saving a third of my armor saves at this point in time. I like that build. Hoof Harvester, the bigger one, has also the -2 inches to charge. And the Mage Life Gremlins. This I learned the hard way. Non-bound spells, they gain +1 combat res. So versus one, and you'll see it on my list. On one of my mages, because I have the magical heirloom, he has a +5 to combat res. +5. And then you've got the Dark Furies with the Dark Hide. He also has Dark Hide on his Kalima. The Dark Hide means that it can then scout as well, but has to be placed in his deployment zone. Also, going back to the Kalima real quick, is has an extra AP for close combat, and he's besides the Dark Hide, he also gave Venom Sax dominant, which meant it gives that unit Venom Sax. So you'll see how he uses that in just a moment. As I said, this was a very, very good player. It was definitely a chess match for most of the game. And here's my list. So did a couple changes. My captain wanted us to go skewed list. So and I just haven't been feeling dwarves. I mean, since they took Swift Stride away, and it's the one army that needed Swift Stride. They have nothing above movement 3 other than Seekers and the Whole Guardians. Seekers has Swift Stride, but they took it away from the throne. So I'm trying to make the army work. I'm trying to enjoy that army. I think I'm going to personally go to Saurians, but going with this back to what's at hand. Duke's the same. My damsel, what did I do? I added magical heirloom to her. My paladin, I've made a Knight of the Quest and Basalt Infusion. So I took a lot of stuff off the paladin and just made him a Knight of the Quest. My other damsel, I added the Crystal of Valiant Charge. The more I'm using this with this style list, the more I'm liking that, because as you'll see here, I'll get to it, is this army is designed to take a charge or to do the charging. I have 8 Knights of the Realm with Musician Champion. They're there for one of the damsels. 6 Knight Aspirants with Champions. They're designed as my chaff, anti-chaff. They can go in with the Duke, so now the Duke can do damage. Because there's 6 of them, they can negate ranks and any type of steadfast. So I'm really liking how those units are working out so far. The meat and potatoes of the army, besides the Duke, is the 10 Knights of the Quest, which is designed to take probably one of the damsels as well as the BSB. I've got 2 other units, 9 Knights of the Quest, all 3 of which have the Aether icon. Okay, therefore it's MR1. So as I said, he has a lot of magic with those. Normally it goes off with a 4. He gets +1 to cast as a demon on using 2 dice or less. However, that single MR means that instead of succeeding 2/3 of the time, it's only a 50-50 chance on a single dice, and now he's got consistently 2 dice those spells. And if depending on which damsel goes in, one of those units will be an MR2 or an MR3. All depends on how I set it up. So here's how deployment works. And this is after scouts, and neither one of us have vanguards. I'm going to apologize in advance that some of my picks, because we're doing universal battles and I was in the middle of a tournament game, you're going to see the dice thing there in the middle, and I'll try to do my best. So we're playing King of the Hill. We both have picked the 2 walls on opposite sides, and it's Dawn Assault. I won the roll-off. I chose the top, and he picked the bottom. In retrospect, I still like picking the top. I probably should have not given the hill and put him on the other side, is probably what I should have done. But regardless, that 18 inches still gave him actually that entire hill. So there was a reason why I did it that way. And his first turn, he moves up I made sure most of my units were too far away to truly get shot off turn one. He wanted his units of Eidolons far enough away that I could try for boxcar charges, and that was about it. And let's see, he does the conga line, and he moves his Kalima into the unit of Eidolons. So one thing, I'm not sure you consider it or not, but it does not come into play this early on, is the Kalima causes fear, so I get plus 2 inches to charge, and then it's minus 2 inches to charge. So come my turn, I move up like this. And I'm not sure if he didn't fully expect me to just give him that unit of aspirants like that. I kept backing up the other aspirants, making sure my Duke's out of range from all those nasty spells, even though it has MR2. And I was able to get off Chilling Howl. I either 4 dice it or 5 dice it to get through. He's like, that was a great play because I did the boosted version and affected all of his shooting units right there. So during his turn, he chaffs up both units so that no matter what, I cannot get into those Eidolons with either. And he does eventually shoot off those Knight Aspirants. He shoots them right off the board. He does 1 wound to the unit up at the top. And that's it. His shooting has so far been fairly ineffective versus me because unfortunately the imps are strength 5, AP 0, so it doesn't really hurt me. And having that the -1 to wound spell helps. The 3-up armor helps. It's the Eidolons are the ones that I'm really concerned with. So I want to try to engage them as soon as possible. So here's one of those dice buckets. So here's how the board looks at this point in time. And I'm just going to go back a quick page. So the 1 unit of aspirants with the BSB and the damsel goes charging into the unit of imps that are right ahead. And then my other unit of Knights of the Quest go charging into the flank of his chaff. And as I said, the aspirants there in the middle of the board are gone. So that's how this looks. And afterwards, so this is now his turn. After movement, I whiffed. I mean, the Knights of the Quest up above, they did their job and killed the chaff. I did a quick reform. The Knights of the Quest with the BSB completely whiffed against that unit, and the wounds I did make, he actually ended up saving. So rather than being free to fully reform and take that to the face, even though I did have Stone Skin up, he ends up sticking me at that point in time. And you know, how to say this? It is what it is. I expected to get charged as such, and all I can say is it happens. So I've got a unit of blowflies in my flank. He is not engaging my BSB, but I am fairly set up well for some counter charges going on. So the blowflies, I do a couple wounds to the blowflies, and he did lose combat res. However, he still has 1 imp in front of me, and I'm like, I can't do anything about it. And again, I do apologize for that. Box in there in the middle. I decide to charge the Duke into the bigger brick with the Brood Mother, thinking I could probably try buffing the Duke. Also, I still have my Black Knight's Tabard on my Duke, and I charged the rear with the Aspirants. And I did try buffing the Aspirants because I expected him to have a lot of toxic hits against them, and he stopped them. He just shut down my spells. So during his turn, here's how this looks. And he pops up his Mage Light gremlins, and my Duke survived, took 2 wounds, and did 8 wounds. 4, 8, did 11 wounds, I think, in return. No, I did I did over 5, and then he rolled Snake Eyes. He didn't take any additional wounds after that. But my Duke is still alive. So my turn, I have, because my damsel's in my unit of Knights of the Knights of the Quest, I charge out the BSB by himself into the flank of the Gremlins. The reason I did that is that unit, if I have my damsel involved, is already a +5 combat res. And I throw the aspirants into that combat with the Duke, hoping to do some more wounds, add some combat res, to hopefully kill them. And unfortunately, I did fail a DT, and this is kind of my last pick, so you're just going to see a bunch of lines for the next couple picks. And again, I do apologize. It was a tournament game, so try and be cognizant of time. And so I lost my champion. The rest of the unit's fine. I go charging in. So hold on, stay on this picture for a second. I go charging in. He is now down to 1 after the combats. He's down to 1 model left that's got a couple wounds on it. Okay, his turn. He charges in with the succubi that he had there in the back. I'm sorry, I didn't go through. He had bloatflies, succubi were hiding in the back, imps in front of them, and the other 2 units were just kind of self-explanatory. I felt mine were kind of self-explanatory. The blue were Knights of the Realm. So I apologize. So he goes charging into my flank there, hoping to add combat res at this point in time. The reason why he didn't, and I actually gave him a flank to the Knights of the Quest, the reason why is he still had 1 Mage-like Gremlin alive with 1 wound. He had 1 wound left. So my BSB was doing its job. He goes into that flank, and he has his champion left with 2 wounds sitting on it, but he doesn't issue a challenge. I think that during that combat, that would have been the time to issue the challenge. Granted, I think my Duke would have killed his unit champion, which is probably why he didn't do it. But what ended up happening was he's wailing on my Duke, and my Duke is simply eating the succubi. So I did 3 wounds to him. Yeah, I did 3 wounds to him. He did nothing back to me. So he had charge, flank, big flank to 3 wounds. We bounce. My BSB during his turn kills the mage-like gremlins and charges into the flank of his succubi. And at that point, it's spelling game over there. Now, let's see here. I forgot. Hold on. Let me go back a turn. Let me go back. So at this point in time, this is actually something pretty big. I turned around and I cast Swarm of Insects during my turn on his mage, because he pops his mage out because he didn't want his Eidolons getting charged with the mage in it. So he pops out his mage, he puts the mage over there so it can help out with the combats off to the left there. My own mage, who has a clean line of sight, Swarm of Insects, does 4 wounds with Swarm of Insects. He saves 1. He's now sitting there with 3 wounds on it. So now let me go back to where I was. And nope, going the wrong way. All right. So at this point, he's got 3 wounds during his magic phase. He casts some offensive spell. I want to say it was Hand of Heaven on and he casts it on 555s. And I'm like, you can have it. I roll 2 dice to see if I do wounds, if the spell wounds him. Both rolled double 6s, and he failed one of his saves. And at that point, that thus ends his magic phase. So here, I'm only down to 4 models. Because as I said, this was my last picture before the end of the game pick. I'm down to 4 models in this unit. His mage is dead. He's got most of his Eidolons. I'm like, I need to charge them at the same time. My one fear is he's going to just shoot me off the board. Long story short, is I charge and I do. He does a bunch of wounds. I save one. Okay, I have my champion is left in the unit and gets into that combat, no questions asked. Uh, During my turn, I get off one spell, which, because my mage is within 12 inches with Oaken thrown up, gives me then 2 Knights of the Quest into that unit. And I end up decimating that unit down to, I think, one model. And because of where that one model is, he can't get, no matter what, he was not going to be able to get the great big monster into combat. So he slides the monster over, and this is my last turn. So this is actually bottom of turn 5, and we called it bottom of 5. So those 2 knights eventually kill what's left of the Eidolons, and they go into that one brick of, oh, what is it? The Brazen Beasts. And I have the other 2 units tonight, both of which make it into his big monster. I get off Healing Waters onto them, and that's it. He ends up losing his big monster. The Duke, he kept trying to wail on the Duke, and even with the toxic attacks and everything else, he didn't make a single toxic wound to the Duke, or if he did, I saved it with a 5 or 6 because my Duke is a Grail Knight. And that just spelled game over right there. Overall, I mean, his reference to me is like he thought it was a mistake to charge in the Duke into them, and I have to agree. I think it was, unfortunately, because my unit whiffed so badly and got stuck there. I couldn't let those huge amount of bloat flies go into my Knights of the Quest, because unfortunately I don't think the Knights of the Quest win that fight. Maybe letting him go in and just buffing that one unit, maybe that would have been a better play. Don't know. Fortunately, it worked out in my favor. Again, dice weren't rolling well for either one of us, but unfortunately for him, they were slightly better in my favor. So as I said, it's turn 5. Turn 6, we said, the Knights of the Aspirants that he can't shoot off the board are going to then be on that terrain piece. He's got the one unit of imps sitting in front is going to get double charged because of the overrun. And that's it. And to me, my MVP is the single damsel able to put 3 wounds on his Kalima when he ran the Kalima out of the unit, which to me was his biggest mistake, because that just losing that model. I mean, granted, rolling trip 5s is just bad luck, but Thaumaturgy, it's a higher probability, but it's still very low probability. But that was his one mistake. And let's see, that was it. So ends up being a 20-0 victory for the Kingdom, and hopefully I'll do a better job next time of taking pictures. Again, this whole taking pictures of my computer screen is something that's new for me, and that's it. Until next time, happy gaming.